emotional baggage. I mean, massive. It was to the point where I was thinking people needed a claim check just to leave the house. But here now, the Six of Cups is showing up in May, and it's like, it's okay. It's a positive thing because the clarification card is the Wheel of Fortune next to it. Now this is an auspicious time. Something about your past is bringing something up to the front and fortunate for your future. It's making you feel good about yourself and bringing confidence. This is time to jump on the bandwagon and do something positive in your life because there's always a downswing to the wheel, and don't wait for that to happen. There's a window of time for you to jump through. And now take advantage of it. Now up in your pelvic and sacrum for awakening and arousing, receive the Ten of Wands. Things have been heavy for you. I don't know if it's atmospherically around you. And also, the responsibilities that you've taken on have been a heavy load. You've been carrying a lot of things around. Probably doing more than you should. While others are sitting back and kind of going, yeah, isn't life great? You know, you've been towing the rope. And maybe in some ways this has hampered your progress, but as for any 10, it's a card that represents that you're coming to an end. And there'll be some new beginnings. Whatever burdens you've been carrying, it's going to be lightened up. And the clarification card is the Four of Cups. You've known that it's been a heavy load. You're the Four of Cups guy and somebody's handing you an opportunity cup, but it's probably one for more work and less play, and you're saying, no thanks, I don't want it anymore. All of the opportunities that I've accepted in the past had no rewards to it. It wasn't a treat anymore. I was doing too much of one thing. And it's time to do something different. And you've intuitively known that it's time for a change because up in your solar plexus for feeling and sensing, you receive the Queen of Cups. She's the one that makes you sense things, makes you feel things intuitively. Now she's having your inner voice talking to you, reflecting, and bringing in more self-awareness and sharpening your awareness around your milieu. This is why she's in the gut feeling category. She wants you to start listening to your gut feelings. And the Queen of Cups is Pisces. You're in Pisces land right now. This is you. This is personifying you. You realize now there's no time to brood over the past and worry about you doing too much work over other people. And this is reinforced also by the clarification card because you got the Eight of Cups. Now this is saying, yeah, it's time to walk away from a few things. Resignation doesn't mean you're losing. Sometimes it's just wisdom to know your limits and when it's time to change. And this is also reinforced with the center cards for the heart of the matter, because you receive the Two of Wands and the Three of Wands. Now the Two of Wands is opportunity, and you see it over the horizon. You have the world in your hand, and this is time for you to sit down in your lounge chair and think very deeply about what you're doing, where you're going, what your purpose in life is, and what will make you happy. And start making some plans. Get the drawing board out and all kinds of pencils and paper and start scribbling out a plan. A management plan with objectives and goals and a mission statement. And then the Three of Wands pulls in, ta-da, and will make this a reality. It's a card about motion and movement. And launching these plans into a new reality. And once again, the card on the bottom right for the throat for communicating and teaching, the Three of Pentacles, is reinforcing this because I call it the Architect card. It's a card about building, restructuring, looking at your blueprints. But this isn't about building a fabricated structure, but a customized structure and organization that aligns with your life. And sometimes people say Rome wasn't built in a day and blah, blah, blah. But here the clarification card is the Eight of Wands. That's a card about sudden change. And it's about sudden motion. The wheels now are going around. You've got the Two of Wands representing the Three of Wands. You've got the Three of Wands connected to the Three of Pentacles. Now, Eight of Wands can also bring news and messages. Perhaps something suddenly changed when you receive some information. Now, information is a good thing, and then again, you can get some bad news. And I see up in the third eye for your seeing and envisioning, you receive the Tower. So something made a sudden collapse. And the Tower is connected to the Eight of Wands, but not necessarily is the Tower a negative thing. Sometimes things have to be restructured for reconstruction. And that's the reason for the collapse. I don't think this was like a fatal collapse, but more of fault lines running through the ground. And something that you were planning to do didn't have a stable foundation. And the clarification card is the Four of Swords. It's telling you, yeah, you're going to have to sit back and contemplate about this because something is not right with your plans, and you shouldn't go forward until you have everything mapped out. Because a lot of times life is iterative. It's really dependent on what you've done previously to how you will act in the present and the future. Now, up in the crown for your knowing and understanding, you receive the Four of Wands. So now you received the Two, the Three, and now the Four of Wands. And the Four of Wands is a celebration card. So obviously, if you rethought some things and move forward with the right plans, everything's working out. And the clarification card is the Ten of Wands. You received that over here in the pelvic and sacrum. And you received the Four of Cups, and now you receive the Four of Wands and the Ten of Wands. They're connected. Now your spiritual self is starting to move forward. You're a Swiss watch just clicking along. And it's saying, too, that it was a lot of work to get where you're at, but there's some rewards involved in it. You know, a lot of times you might have done things for other people and it wasn't recognized or appreciated. But now maybe you're doing a few things for yourself, and that's not a selfish thing. But the funny thing about it is that it benefits everybody. You know, you have to love yourself before you can love other people. Now, down on the left for your past, you received the Death card and the Seven of Cups. Now, the Death card's about transformation, but I'm seeing that the Seven of Cups card, the card of difficult decisions, sparked this Death card transformation. You knew it was time. There was a fulcrum, there was tipping time, that it was time to start doing some different things. And whatever you decided to do is being rewarded in spades, because over on the right for your future, you received the Nine of Cups, the Wish card. You know, curiosity killed the cat, but the second line to it, a lot of people forget, is that satisfaction brought him back. This is where you're going to have satisfaction for all of your hard work, for the two Ten of Wands, and all of the planning. But what made this real was you changing your attitude and changing yourself. Now there's two clarification cards I pulled for the Nine of Cups, and you received the Empress and the Chariot. Now you might think this funny, but they're both about duality. The Empress is about the planet Venus and the star that rises in the east in the morning and sets in the west in the evening. And the Chariot, too, is about control versus lack of control. And both of them are giving you a lesson. The Empress is saying about sharing and paying attention to your personal life and your home. With the Queen of Cups over there and you, it's saying, yeah, you're supposed to manifest some deeper bonds with the people in your life. And the Chariot's saying you have to make sure that you're disciplined and under control. Wow, this is going to be kind of a really sensitive week. A withdrawn and isolated week for you to review things. But that's not a bad thing. Maybe it's just your turn. Now the Four of Swords is a respite from conflict. You know, I don't know what happened on the left side of the Four of Swords in your past, but obviously something threw you into the Four of Swords recuperation mode. You know, you've been through some physical strain, mental drain, and now you're there laying around trying to recharge your batteries. You know, in the olden days, the knights bought their own tomb before they went out on campaigns just in case they didn't come back. Well, this guy came back alive, and now he's wondering why some of his friends had died. And what is the purpose of life, and what is the purpose of his life? And what does he want to do with his life? He's taking a time out right now to heal, restore. He's licking his wounds, recuperating his sanity, and trying to gain some type of perspective, and trying to relax, take a break from worry and anxiety. And boy, do we have a lot of them in modern day times. He just wants a break from his troubles, which is a little different than the Hanged Man, who's going into a meditative isolation to acquire wisdom. You know, wisdom is so important to the Hanged Man that he's going on a spiritual journey from death to rebirth. And this card indicates that there could be some sacrifices involved in acquiring this wisdom. Maybe you've already sacrificed, and that's why you're in the Four of Swords mode along with the Hanged Man. This card encompasses the Tao concept of wu-wei, and it actually means non-doing. It's just time to let things take its natural flow and not resist anymore. You know, a lot of times we try to control our physical world, and it just doesn't work. You can't put a round peg in a square hole. And now once you acquire some of this wisdom, then you start looking at things in a different light. You start realizing that you have to get rid of the old and accept the new with open arms. It's time to change. You know, pain in life is inevitable, but suffering is optional, and I think that's where the Four of Swords guy is back there saying, why am I suffering? But if you are feeling confused, I don't think you're going to be anymore with the Eight of Wands. Because this is like a miasma that's being lifted, and you're seeing things with more clarity. There's going to be some swift unfolding events that are going to change some things for you. The Eight of Wands can be about the cadences of life and children growing up, us growing older, and the challenges that are involved in change and how to deal with them. This is a positive change card, though. An immovable mountain is now movable when you have had obstacles in front of you and casting into your path right and left. All of a sudden now everything is falling together and you're able to go forward. And this card is about travel. And it can be physical travel, but with the Four of Swords and the Hanged Man here, I think it's more of a spiritual journey than anything else. You've been doing some self-discovery. Now I tossed the dice and you received Cancer, Mercury in the second house. Now you received another cup sign, Cancer. Sensitivity once again. And there's going to be some more withdrawals in this reading. happened before the Four of Swords and the Hanged Man has you remembering a lot of things. And this is from Mercury in Cancer. You might feel some resentment from these memories because, you've got an imaginative, sensitive nature going on here. Even when things happened, you didn't remember what happened more than the mood and the feelings of how it happened and how you felt about it. You're going to be wearing your emotions on your sleeve this week, and you're going to be expressing your opinions more in moods. And if you have perceived some type of slight or insult, you're going to be the crab like Cancer, and you're going to just immediately withdraw. But in order for you to get out of this funk, you have to start looking at things more subjectively and philosophically. And this is what the Four of Swords and the Hanged Man is saying to you. Some people might think you're acting kind of slow and unresponsive, but in reality, you're just thinking of things and you're actually understanding more than people know. And the funny thing is that you just haven't told anybody. But you will with the Eight of Wands. It'll come out. Now, all these cards are having you balance your emotions. And you'll be learning a lot of new things throughout this week. And problem solving will come from more of your feelings than taking any practical approach. Any negative people that you come in contact with, you're going to have to get away from them like the plague because you're just going to start absorbing these negative feelings. So basically, you should really feel out your audience before you get involved in anything. Just sit back and listen for a while. And if you don't like what you hear, just walk away. You could oppose these negative people or edify them. But what for? Now, Mercury in the second house has much the same feeling as what I talked about with Cancer and Mercury. You're not going to be sharing your thoughts easily with people. And you're going to feel like you have to do a lot of homework in order to make any decisions. But whatever you do learn, you are going to communicate with people very carefully about how you feel. And this week, you'll be a collector of thoughts and ideas that you'll eventually put into action with the Eight of Wands there. And when the mood hits, you're going to go up to a podium and give the biggest, most astounding speech to people that you've ever done. So it really is time to take advantage of this quiet, introspective week, so you can work out some problems that have kind of been hanging in the balance. And that's a little pun with the Hanged Man. So you can resolve whatever happened in the past before the Four of Swords